The search for a new House Speaker picks up pace in the U.S. Republican members of the House of Representatives are meeting this week in an effort to replace former Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Members voted to remove McCarthy last week by a vote of 2016 to 2010. This was the first time the House removed a Speaker during a legislative session in U.S. history. So now Congress is scrambling to find a new Speaker so they can pass bills on spending and on foreign aid. Joining us from Washington this morning is Adrian Murrow with the Globe and Mail. Good to talk to you.
Good morning, Anne-Marie.
So the latest is McCarthy's allies have said they're going to nominate him again. So who are the leading candidates for the speakership right now?
Yeah, there's the possibility of McCarthy. It still seems a fairly slim possibility to me, but who knows? Anything could happen. The other people that are the front runners is basically sort of a two-person race. Jim Jordan, who's a vituperative member of the conference. He's tends to be a vociferous defender of Donald Trump, a sort of aggressive kind of pit bull, type, might be able to sort of appeal to some of the people on the further right in the caucus who want someone who's going to be a bit more aggressive and maybe sort of take the fight to Joe Biden. Steve Scalise is the maybe calmer, sort of quieter candidate. He's basically somebody who's been sort of climbing the ranks of leadership for years. He's currently the #2 House Republican, and he's a big fundraiser. He's somebody who's contributed a lot of money, from his own fundraising kitty to the campaigns of a whole bunch of other people in the caucus. And so I think he really has that going for him, that people kind of, see him as somebody who's had their back and will sort of maybe help them in the next election. And so would sort of be a viable House Speaker for political reasons for that purpose.
When they do finally elect a new Speaker, will that person face the same kind of resistance that ultimately ousted McCarthy?
They're certainly going to face the same dilemma, which I think is that, McCarthy was trying to figure out how do you put together budget legislation that is going to please these sort of far right factions within the caucus, while at the same time having, any possibility of negotiating something that can get through the Senate and be signed by Joe Biden, coupled with or balanced against the possibility of a government shutdown, which, very likely would not turn out well for the Republicans. They would probably blame for it, and it would be sort of a political problem. So whoever comes in is going to face that same dilemma that McCarthy did. Whether or not they're going to face the same amount of sort of vitriol and attacks from within their own caucus as McCarthy, I'm not sure that they will, because this seems to have gone so badly for the Republicans. They've appeared to be so disorganized that, there might be sort of more of an impetus, with the next speaker for them to sort of close ranks or try to find a way of showing that they can actually get things done, as opposed to just this sort of nonstop drama. But who knows? I mean, it's been drama for the last year within their caucus, so maybe that will continue for the next guy.
It's a tall order to wish for no drama. This is all happening at a time when Israel, who is a key U.S. ally, is at war. So how is the absence of a speaker delaying congressional work that would normally be happening on things like foreign aid?
Yeah, that's right. Basically, the interim speaker, Henry McMaster, has kind of taken the position that he's just there to get the next speaker elected, and he's not really sort of been trying to move anything else forward. And so it really does seem that they're going to have to put a speaker in place before they can do, aid to Israel. There's a military aid package to Ukraine that's sitting before Congress at the moment. And then not to mention, there's basically a deadline to pass budgeting bills next month before the U.S. government shuts down. And so they really have to get a speaker in place to start working on all of these things. Most likely, as you say, aid to Ukraine or aid to Israel and potentially Ukraine in the short term. And then in the medium term, getting these budget bills passed, because, the clock is ticking, and every day that they delay in getting a speaker in place is time that they're losing to basically work on these things.
Speaking of deadline, it took the GOP 15 ballots to originally elect McCarthy back in January. He's out now. They are without a speaker during this key moment. How is all of this affecting the party's reputation overall?
I don't think it's looking very good for them. I mean, the Democrats certainly have a lot of their own internal divisions, but one thing they've been pretty consistently good at in this Congress is kind of closing ranks on big votes and sort of not spilling their tea too often, in public. And I think that the Republicans are, it's kind of the opposite of that, where, they're openly fighting, having one of their own members, Matt Gaetz, basically lead a very small group of Republicans to team up with the Democrats to defenestrate, their own speaker. None of this sort of looks great for them. And I think a lot of Republicans, probably the vast majority of Republicans, recognize that too. They're apoplectic that Matt Gaetz, would do something like this. And so I think it's going to help, Joe Biden kind of make the case that, he's the stable hand on the tiller, and that the other party is just, nothing but a clown car or whatever. And so even sort of aside from ideology, if you just want somebody who's an adult in the room, Biden is going to sell himself on that. And I think the Republicans are helping him do that.
It's all very House of Cards. Adrian Morrow, thanks so much for joining us from Washington.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.